Wij gaan terug naar de begraafplaats. Omdat wij nu gehoord hebben van de mensen hier dat Celine, die wij hadden gelezen op de grafsteen hier, dat een oude werknemer is waar iets mee gebeurd is. Is dat deze?
Celine,
Ja.
1823 to 1844. Taken too soon. Rest ye with the angels.
You don't suppose...
Nah.
Oh, daar doet hij niks mee.
Oké. En nu?
Oké. Ja. En dan. Die vrouw in het huis. Die in de keuken. Die zei dat deze boemervrouw. Dat hij het personeel slaat.
Klopt.
En dat ze daarbij ook altijd een boek in haar handen heeft. Dan hebben we boven die boekenkast gezien. Waar we op konden klikken. Misschien kunnen we daar het juiste boek wel vinden. Volgens mij is dat de linkerkamer.
Jij zei nog, dat is zijn deur.
Ja. Deze. Ik zal hem wel het rode boek. Ja, ik kan hem aanklikken nu, het rode boek.
Ja.
Well, this should be the book Amelie mentioned. Well.
Ah!
Hey.
We're here.
A whip. And it has dried blood
Een
on
bloody
it.
whip.
Ghastly.
This house is just full of secrets, isn't it?
Daar zullen we maar eens even wat vragen over stellen. Aan de mensen hier binnen. Als dat mogelijk is.
As amusing as it is to chat with
Ik
this...
kan niet meer met hem praten.
Amelie?
Yes? What is it? We mustn't be seen talking.
I found this upstairs in Madame Dupree's bedroom. Do you recognize it?
Oh, please take that away, Mr. Fordham. Why would you show it to me?
I'm sorry, I didn't think it would upset you.
Miles. Maybe someday you'll learn how to read basic human emotions.
Thank you, Amelie. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Now please, let me get back to work.
Nou, we hebben dus geleerd van Amelie dat deze zweep wel iets te maken heeft met wat hier allemaal gebeurt.
Ja.
Dus dan stel ik voor dat we teruggaan naar Juliette. Want die was vrienden met Amelie, dus misschien weet hij hier wel iets van.
Zou zomaar kunnen.
Dus even vragen aan Juliette.
Hello again, Miss Montgomery. Mind answering a few more questions?
Hello, Mr. Fordham. Not at all.
Kijk.
Is there anything you can tell me about your stepfather, Jean?
He's a kind man. I don't really see him too often. He seemed rather upset at Mother's funeral, but I can't help but wonder if he feels the same way as I do about her death.
What do you mean?
Just that I get the distinct impression that he and Mother's marriage isn't as perfect as they'd like it to appear.
I'm starting to sense a trend here.
Your brother told me that Jean enjoys hunting. Do you know where his cabin is?
Yes, it's in Fenton Swamp. I went out there with him a few times,
we leren de
but I didn't
locatie
really
van de
enjoy it.
hut.
Frankly, the place is rather grotesque. All those stuffed trophies staring at you with their cold, dead eyes. Plants are much nicer to have around. Anyway, if you take the main road through the swamp about a mile and a half, you'll come upon a small dirt path that goes northeast. Take that until you see a small cabin on the left. That's it.
Thank you for the information, Miss Montgomery.
Objective edit.
Do you know Guy Dumas?
Yes, he was one of our servants. He used to enjoy reading my books, as well as Andrew's.
When did you see him last?
Just last week. He came by to see me and asked to borrow some books.
Do you know where I
Dat
might
was die
be able
oude
to find
tuinman,
him?
toch?
Not really. I get the impression that he moves around frequently. But I can tell him you're looking for him next time I see him, if you like.
Please do. Although hopefully I'll be able to find him before then. Were you friends with Celine, the maid?
Yes, I was quite fond of Celine. She was so sweet and interesting to talk to. One day, she just left the house with no explanation. Mother said it was because she had found work elsewhere.
Ja.
I was terribly saddened. I wish I'd had the chance
Moeder
to say
heeft
goodbye to
daar
her
vermoedelijk
at
iets
least.
mee te maken.
What's your interest in her?
Oh, I was just curious, that's all. No more questions for now.
Then if you don't mind, I have work to do.
Nou, dan zullen we maar eens naar die jachthut gaan, hè. Kijk, een nieuwe locatie. Hunting
ziet er
cabin.
jachtig uit. Goeie krokodil wel.
Hello?
Ja.
Is anyone here?
Strange of Dupree to leave the door unlocked. Maybe it means he'll be returning soon.
Dat zou je zeggen, hè? Hier is een kast. Kunnen we even kijken.
Let's see if Jean has anything interesting in here.
Not very much, except a letter.
Thank you so much for your help. Juliette. Oh, hij heeft iets bij de universiteit gedaan. En moeder wilde dat tegengaan.
Nothing else of interest in there.
Daar kunnen we nog wel wat vragen over stellen, denk ik.
Satchels, boxes, and other assorted boring things for hunting. I had a nasty run-in with an alligator when I was a child. One less in the world doesn't really bother me, to be honest. An absolute bore.
Ha!
Are these even native to New Britannia? Some high society type in the middle of a hunt. I don't
Daar rechts
understand
mist een geweer.
the thrill out of murdering
Klopt.
innocent creatures.
Hier is drank.
It seems Mr. Dupree is a Bollingworth man. Maybe he's not so bad after all. One of the guns is missing. Jean must be out using it currently.
Ah,
Ah. Hallo Pep.
Who the hell are you? What are you doing in my cabin?
Jean Dupree, I presume?
Yes, that's right. Who are you?
Miles Fordham, private investigator. I'm looking into the attempted murder of your wife.
Oh, yes. Yes, of course. Forgive my rudeness, but
Snel
you
overtuigd, hè, die
startled
man.
me.
Perfectly understandable, Mr. Dupree.
This is a man whose bark is most definitely worse than his bite.
we praten met hem.
Can we talk, Mr. Dupree?
I suppose so. Yes.
Nou, dus even wat vragen stellen.
What can you tell me about Madame Dupree?
Oh, my dear wife, the past few days have been just awful for all of us.
Yes, I can imagine. How long have you been married?
For 7 wonderful years. Laura and I are just as much in love now as we were on the day we married.
Lord, does he actually expect anyone to believe that nonsense?
You'll pardon me for being so frank, Mr. Dupree, but why are you out hunting and not at your wife's side?
Excuse me? Who are you to lecture me on my marriage?
A fellow married man, that's who. Your wife has just suffered a very traumatic ordeal. Shouldn't you be at home caring for her?
But with all the confusion at the house, with the police investigating and her being attended to by her doctor, I just needed to get away for a bit. Surely you can understand, Mr. Fordham.
There's something off about this guy, Miles. He's definitely hiding something. And for
Hij
once,
verstopt iets.
I don't think it's from his wife.
Do you know anything about the circumstances surrounding Madame Dupree's death?
Horrible. Simply horrible.
Do you have any idea why Mr. Martin might have attempted to kill her?
Mr. Martin? You mean the boys they arrested? Andrew said it's because Martin and his mother are witches who prey on the well-to-do. You only need to take one look at him to see his trouble. It's a shame they put him away so quickly. I'd have liked to teach him a lesson or two, believe you me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
A lesson on how to cower in the corner, most likely.
I suppose it goes without saying that you enjoy hunting, Mr. Dupree?
Yes, I do. I consider myself something of an outdoorsman, you see. It's nice to be able to go out and get some fresh air after being sat at the bank all day.
What about your home life?
Truth be told, I'm not at home as often as I'd like to be. I've been trying
hij
to
is
make
niet
more
vaak
time, but
thuis.
something usually comes up. Business is business, after all.
Yeah, but what business are we talking about here exactly?
What can you tell me about your stepchildren?
Andrew and Juliet? I see a bright future ahead for both of them.
What's your relationship with them like?
It's fine. Why do you ask?
I got the distinct impression from both of them that they hardly ever see you.
Well, yes, I suppose that is true. We don't spend much time together. But they're both so busy with school, I don't want to get in their way. Not to mention my job keeps me away from home for considerable periods of time.
Excuses, excuses. I get the feeling Mr. Dupree avoids his family on purpose. But why?
Goeie vragen.
Do you fear your wife, Mr. Dupree?
Do I... what?
The question's quite simple. Are you afraid of Madame Dupree?
Why in the ether would you think that?
Zullen we die zweep erbij pakken?
Dat lijkt me goed.
Als in, we willen denk ik niet die meter bijnaaien. En we willen die man ook
Nee.
niet beledigen.
Nee,
Dus dan pakken we gewoon een bewijsstuk.
feitelijk precies, ja.
Ja.
I'd be afraid of someone who kept a bloody whip in my bedroom. Care to explain that?
I... You don't know her like I do. No one does. Well, no one aside from the servants, I suppose.
Ah.
She's cruel, Mr. Fordham. Crueler
Kijk,
than
we
anyone
leren
or
iets.
anything I've ever seen.
Tell me more about Madame Dupree's cruelty.
She treats the servants like animals, Mr. Fordham. She would say the most vile, awful things to them. Things I would expect to hear on the Gascon docks. Not from the lips of a grande dame. And the beatings. Oh, God. The screams I would hear from somewhere in the house. I never dared find out where.
Nobody else ever heard the screaming?
Oh, dat is een geheime kamer nog.
She was cunning. She would do it when no one else was around. Once she knew I had heard, she threatened me. Told me she would...
Yes?
She threatened to expose my secret, Mr. Fordham.
And what secret is that?
Our marriage is one of convenience.
Ah.
It's all for show. Laura has herself a well-to-do husband, and I am a normal man in the eyes of society.
I see. I suppose that would explain a few things.
Well, now, how was that not obvious to you? The soporific is really having a bad effect on you.
Don't worry, Mr. Dupree. Your secret's safe with me.
Thank you, Mr. Fordham.
Hey, een aanwijzing.
Mhm.
Nou, wat weet hij over die, hoe heet het?
Tell me what you
Werkmensen
know
dan.
about Guy Dumas. Celine.
Werkmensen.
Celine had an accident.
What kind of accident?
Laura thought Celine had been stealing her silverware. She got a bit carried away with a beating, and
Dupree killed Celine?
yes,
Hey.
she did.
Wajo.
In order to keep it quiet, she had Celine
Kijk.
placed in our family tomb.
En nu weten we dus zeker dat die Celine in de tomb wel
Never
deze
saw him
Celine
again
is.
after that.
Ja.
Well,
Zo
this
kunnen we
case
misschien
is
nu
certainly
wel daar
taking a
naartoe.
turn for the sinister.
Denk je niet?
Ja, dat denk
Do
ik
you know
ook.
anything about Madame Dupree trying to get Juliet taken out of her classes at the university?
Ah, yes. Laura didn't approve of her daughter's desire to further her education. So, she sent a letter to the university requesting Juliet's withdrawal. I didn't approve of her trying to meddle in Juliet's affairs. If she wants to study, she should be free to do so. I wrote them a letter myself, without Laura's knowledge, telling them to disregard the previous request for withdrawal.
That's very good of you.
Yes, well, I dislike seeing people being told what they can and can't do by others.
Yet, he seems perfectly willing to employ servants at his home. Well, I suppose we're all hypocrites in one way or another.
I'll be going now.
Au revoir, Mr. Fordham.
Ja, dan moeten we nu dan toch maar weer naar het graf van Celine. Want nu weten we dus zeker dat zij het is.
Mhm.
Stel ik voor dat we dat weer gaan doen in de volgende video.
Ja, lijkt me goed.
Dus graag tot dan.
Jullie.
Doei.